slightly forward, not so subtly letting him know that she might be available.
But with all that food, you don't have an ounce of fat on you.
Still smiling, he wondered what she'd be like in bed. He pictured himself taking hold of her, thrusting into her, and then he pictured his hands around her throat, squeezing, until her face slowly turned purple and her eyes bulged out of their sockets. She stared at him speculatively, as if wondering whether he satisfied all of his appetites with such single-minded devotion as he had shown toward the food.
Must get a lot of exercise.
I lift weights,
he said. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
She had a graceful, delicate neck. He knew he could break it as if it were a dry twig, and the thought of doing that made him feel warm and happy.
You sure do have a set of big arms,
she said, softly, appreciatively. He was wearing a short-sleeved shirt, and she touched his bare forearm with one finger.
I guess with all that pumping iron, no matter how much you eat, it just turns into more muscle.
Well, that's the idea,
he said.
But I also have one of those metabolisms.
Huh?
I burn up a lot of calories and nervous energy.
You? Nervous?
Jumpy as a Siamese cat.
I don't believe it. I bet there's nothing in the world could make you nervous, she said.
She was a good-looking woman, about 30 years old, 10 years younger than he was, and he figured he could have her if he wanted her. She would need a little wooing, but not much. Just enough so she could convince herself that he had swept her off her feet, playing Rhett to her Scarlet, and had tumbled her into bed against her will. Of course, if he made love to her, he would have to kill her afterward. He'd have to put a knife through her pretty breasts or cut her throat, and he really didn't want to do that. She wasn't worth the bother or the risk. She simply wasn't his type. He didn't kill redheads. He left her a good tip, paid his check at the cash register by the door, and got out of there. After the air-conditioned restaurant, the September heat was like a pillow jammed against his face. As he walked toward the Dodge van, he knew that Helen was watching him, but he didn't look back. From the diner, he drove to a shopping center and parked in a corner of the large lot in the shade of a date palm, as far from the stores as he could get. He climbed between the bucket seats into the back of the van, pulled down a bamboo shade that separated the driver's compartment from the cargo area, and stretched out on a thick but tattered mattress that was too short for him. He had been driving all night without rest, all the way from St. Helena in the wine country. Now, with a big breakfast in his belly, he was drowsy. 4 hours later, he woke from a bad dream. He was sweating, shuddering, burning up and freezing at the same time, clutching the mattress with one hand and punching the empty air with the other. He was trying to scream, but his voice was stuck far down in his throat. He made a dry, gasping sound. At first, he didn't know where he was. The rear of the van was saved from utter darkness only by 3 thin strips of pale light that came through narrow slits in the bamboo blind. The air was warm and stale. He sat up, felt the metal wall with one hand, squinted at what little there was to see, and gradually oriented himself. When at last he realized he was in the van, he relaxed and sank back onto the mattress again. He tried to remember what the nightmare had been about, but he could not. That wasn't unusual. Nearly every night of his life he suffered through horrible dreams from which he woke in terror, mouth dry, heart pounding. But he never could recall what had frightened him. Although he knew where he was now, the darkness made him uneasy. He kept hearing stealthy movement in the shadows, soft scurrying sounds.